Okay, the next item is item number 21, application for a certificate of appropriateness in the Borough of Manhattan, docket number 15-3825, block 609, lot 7501, 147 West 13th Street in the Greenwich Village Historic District, a Greek Revival-style row house designed by John Hanrahan and built in 1847 to 48. This is an application to excavate the areaway, alter the front facade, enlarge an existing rear yard addition, and construct a garden shed.
So you can take one of the larger cups and go to the.
I'm putting that on.
No, I.
Okay. What was that?
A new broom sweeps clean.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Olivia Brzee, Preservation Staff. The item is 147 West 13th Street, and the application is to excavate the areaway, alter the front facade, enlarge the existing rear yard addition, and construct a garden shed. And 147 West 13th Street is this building here, located on the north side of 13th Street between 6th and 7th Avenues within the Greenwich Village Historic District. And the architect is here to walk you through the proposal.
Hi, David Ovechowski, the architect of the project. As Olivia mentioned, we're on West 13th on the north side, just next to the village church. So there's an open yard next to the building, which you'll see as we walk through the project. Generally, our townhouse, the subject property here, is a group of 8 that were built at the same time, 1847 to 48, Greek Revival style structures. The stoop is removed prior to the 1940s tax photo, and there's a pre-existing doctor's office in the cellar. Our proposal in the front yard is to rework the existing stair, which doesn't meet code and passes through the facade, to try to create a more graceful entrance to the doctor's office, which will continue as it currently exists, and to maintain the planting zone across the front of the facade as it exists now, create a planter next to the entry, reconstruct the trash enclosure as it currently exists, and restore the balconette, which we found in documentary evidence from historical photos. We're also replacing the current double-hung windows with French casements, and the lower new windows are also French casements. All of the proposed are black, replacing the white existing windows. This is the condition of that current steel stair, sort of kind of mess of retaining walls and things in the front yard. We're proposing a bluestone stair which comes down. Along the front facade, we'd like to excavate and examine the condition of the existing rubble wall. If it's in a condition that we can leave exposed, we'd like to leave it to define that ground plane edge, but show the original material. If it's in shape that we can't do that, we're going to do a rusticated stucco facade below, but maintain this bluestone water table to articulate the ground plane. And looking from the other direction, the balconette, the black windows, and the excavated yard, again, the planting zone remaining in the front. In the rear yard, we're excavating a portion of the basement level to create an extended rec room and garden stair coming up to existing grade level, and the slightly elevated rear yard, which is as existing, creating a garden shed along the stair to create a handrail along here, and then a small addition on the basement level with a stair coming down from the first floor. There's currently a 10-foot deep steel deck. We're actually pulling back to 6 feet. So when you're looking down this alley, you'll see less of that. You can see the very corner of the deck, but we're actually trying to pull back from the current condition. The existing sections is that steel deck with a spiral stair going down, and our proposed 6-foot deep deck. The elevation from the rear yard, looking towards the new stair. And a rendering of the proposed addition, it's a little light here. The proposed and existing as it stands. So above the basement level, we'll be retaining the stucco as it exists. Some of the precedents for black sashes are our tax map, which shows that we did originally have these windows. And because of the church, we've got some great, much older photos, 1855, which shows the stoop was present in 1855 and still in 1920, but removed in the 1940s tax photo. This, you can see the balconette fairly clearly, the wrought iron balcony. And various precedents for subgrade entry conditions. This is on West 13th Street down the street. There's a storefront below grade. On West 12th, there are a couple of conditions that are very similar to what we will be creating below grade. And a sort of similar window condition to the landing as you come down the stairs on West 12th.
Thank you. The questions? Yes, Marjorie and then Roberta.
With respect to the front balcony, can you just talk about where that comes from?
Sure. So in the photo, the 1820s photo right here, this actually did exist on that location. So we're just proposing to replace it partially because with the stoop gone, we felt like that would start to accentuate the, I'll show you in the rendering. We felt like replacing that as a historical condition would help to continue that line and articulate the reconstruction of the facade above grade. So we're trying to basically from ground level up reconstruct what was historical, obviously not replacing the stoop because this is the current entrance for all the tenants.
And with respect to the windows, the operation of the windows, the change, where does that part come from? Same thing?
That's the same in our tax photo here. And this is a precedent, for example, here, further down the block, this has been reconstructed. We're proposing a very similar window here, and then using that as a precedent for the windows down below.
Okay, so there's no stoop reconstruction here?
There's no stoop reconstruction.
But you're just reconstructing the balcony area. And is there any examples of that kind of little balcony anywhere else existing in the district?
Yeah, there's quite a few on the
They're all
adjacent
over.
blocks, very similar to what we're sort of using those as our precedent since this is the only documentary evidence we have that's not a great photo, so we're also using those as rough precedents for how that would be done.
And last question, that photograph, what you showed of the back that you went through kind of fast, could you just go back to that picture where you were showing what's existing and what you're doing?
Sure.
So what is the pages? What is the difference? So what are you doing there?
We're proposing a new deck and stair going down. The addition is here, and then this is the sub-grade landscape stair. As it exists now, this is patio. And so we're removing the steel deck, which is currently in that same location. The new addition is basically under 2/3 of the width of the existing deck, and then the new stair coming down in that location.
So is that, where's the property line? Property line is
The
way
property
beyond,
line is,
right? It's way
yeah.
back.
I'll show you.
Okay, it showed on that second, go back one.
So this is the easiest place. The property line is here. Our 30-foot yard is still here. So we still have the entire rear yard. This is going down below grade. So the only place coming above grade is right here.
But there are no changes to the rear facade, correct? It's only
Correct.
just the yard. They're going to do some excavation and the staircase. Okay. Are there any other questions? Any other questions? All right. CB2 recommends approval of the areaway excavation and the facade alteration, the rear yard enlargement, but not the balconettes, since they were not supplied their design details.
We did add those details actually after, in response to their
Okay.
comments. So I provided a little more detail and elaboration on the balconies.
Are they here?
CV2?
No, the details.
Yeah, they're here on I believe that's the third page back, second page, the bottom left corner.
There they are.
I have a
Yes, go ahead, Marjorie.
On the drawing, whatever, of the front elevation, it shows the location of the door to the cellar, in the elevation anyway, right, well, sort of underneath the door, the window above. But in plan, it shows the door underneath where the stoop,
The door to the cellar is here.
where,
So you come down from grade level, down the stair and enter here. At cellar level, it's right here.
okay. And why?
Essentially so that we could have one window directly below the existing line of windows, so that there would be, currently, as it stands, the stair comes down and into the facade right here. One, to meet code, we had to have the stair return. And two, in order to get one window into the doctor's office here, we have a landing right there, so that creates a window in the entry door here.
Oh, I see, so underneath.
I did study it that way. We talked to staff about that as well. The problem was there was no way to get the stair, to get the rise and run of the stair and still come here. As it stands right now, you can see in this plan, it kind of comes through the facade and this stair is too steep as it is. So.
Is this doctor's office only at the cellar level? So
Must
what
be a
about-
doctor with a lot of patients who are very, very loyal to it.
Yes. Not a sports medicine doctor. A dentist.
Gerontologist.
Is there a pediatrician?
All right, are there any other questions? Okay, Kelly Carroll?
Kelly Carroll, Historic Districts Council. HDC commends the applicant on their decision to replace the windows to match the 1940s tax photograph. In keeping with this historically accurate mindset, we ask that the areaway be restored to a rusticated stone appearance as described in its designation report. Further, the amount of excavation imposed on this little building, we ask for clarification as to the appearance and the purpose of a rear shed-like structure, which we saw in the drawings. Thank you.
Amanda Davis?
Amanda Davis, Greenwich Village Society for Historic Preservation. As with any project that calls for excavation on the property and in the vicinity of a 19th century row house, GVSHP asks that this be done with the utmost care to protect these fragile structures built on rubble foundations. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more speakers? All right, are there any more questions or, yes, for
What
the
is
applicant?
Describe the planter again on the front.
Sure. At sidewalk level, I'm creating a small planter right here adjacent to the entry, basically just to try to maximize as much planting and to articulate that ground plan as much as possible. So it's actually easiest to see in the right here. There will be a small planter just to extend some of that green space to here.
So is it on 2 levels? I mean, does it go?
It's sort of suspended above the entryway, so it also screens the doctor's office door just a little bit, almost a kind of green awning over that space.
And was there anything there before?
Currently, yeah, there's a small planted area, so we're trying to essentially maintain as much of that as we can while still doing the excavated area.
And the existing planted areas are the same level as where you're proposing, is that correct? Okay. All right, any other questions? All right, thank you. We'll go into discussions. Comments? I think it's fine too, and I think some of the issues that were raised by the commissioners, including the alignment of the new door that they're putting at the lower level. It seems that they've looked at that, and it does seem difficult for them to align it with the windows above, given that you actually have to have a stair that goes to a certain extent in order for them to access that level. All right, good. If there no,
I think there
Yes.
was some issue about the balconette.
oh yes, the
I mean,
balcony.
I think I see a lot of these around the
Yes.
village, but I would just add working with staff to be sure that the detailing of
The
that.
details about
seems-
the balconette is consistent with that in the historic district. All right, that's, okay, so we can then close the hearing. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Diana, do you want to read?
Okay, 21, correct? Okay. Thank you. A certificate of appropriateness, Borough Manhattan, 147 West 13th Street, Greenwich Village Historic District. Application is to excavate the areaway, alter the front facade, enlarge an existing rear yard addition, and construct a garden shed. I recommend approval, finding that the proposed alterations to the front facade and areaway will not alter, eliminate, or conceal any significant architectural features of the building, that the proposed restoration of the missing ornamental balconette at the parlor floor will help maintain the prominence of the parlor floor within the overall facade composition. Sorry. That there is precedent for a variety of designs of ornamental door surrounds on houses of this period where the stoop was removed early in the 20th century. Sorry about that. That the proposed simplified classical door enframement featuring ionic columns supporting an entablature. I'm sorry.
No, that's,
I have to get some
okay, Marjorie can continue.
Should I
Oh,
finish?
yes. Okay, Roberta, will you finish it? Thank you.
Boarding and entablature and brownstone finish and paneled wood door are in keeping with the age, style, and materials of the building. That the proposed new window opening will occur at the location of the existing entry gate and will follow the fenestration pattern of the front facade. That the proposed bluestone sill course separating the cellar and basement floors will recall the historic grade and paving material of the areaway. That the exposed foundation materials at the cellar floor will help maintain a visual distinction between the main facade and the portion of the facade that was historically below grade. That a large portion of the areaway will be maintained at or near its existing grade level, thereby helping these alterations to remain discrete. That the proposed area of excavation will be set behind the existing historic iron fence and a planted area with a bluestone planter and will therefore be partially masked from the street. That other partially excavated areaways can be found on the block and within the Greenwich Village Historic District. That the proposed bluestone stairs, bluestone planter, and bluestone coping at the eastern retaining wall will recall the historic areaway paving material and will unify the visual appearance of the different areaway features. That the proposed railing and garbage enclosures are simply designed and harmonized with the existing historic areaway ironwork. That the proposed work at the rear will not be visible from the street. That other similar scaled buildings on the block feature rear yard additions of compatible height and projection. That the proposed enlargement of the existing rear yard addition is modest in scale and will not overwhelm the building. That the proposed deck will be smaller than the existing deck and therefore will only be minimally visible from the street. That the block is characterized by large-scale buildings occupying the majority of the lots and features less interior green space than other blocks within the historic district. Therefore, the proposed excavation of a large portion of the rear yard will not diminish a cohesive greenscape. That a significant portion of the rear yard will remain unexcavated and will allow for possible future planting. that the proposed excavation and underpinning will be done in compliance with Department of Buildings regulations under the supervision of a licensed professional engineer or registered architect to protect the building's facades and adjacent buildings, and that the proposed work will not distract from the special historic and architectural character of the building and the Greenwich Village Historic District. That's the end.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Okay, this motion is passed.